It is Sunday, the 26th of July, and this is my third Facebook Live. I was talking about the 7 Steps to Happiness, which is the program that I have developed over the last few years to raise consciousness, reduce stress, and increase happiness. And the 7 Steps to Happiness include a step which is all about step number 5, all about dealing with the difficult emotional sides of life, the trauma and grief and guilt and forgiveness and things like that. And he said, "Oh, you should read a book. Have you read a book?" And he told me what it was. So, being a person of action, I got on Amazon and ordered a copy. The book is called Left to Tell, and it's by Immaculee Ilibagiza, and the foreword is by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And it says, "One woman's story of surviving the Rwandan Genocide." And it's all about horror and trauma and forgiveness and faith. And I read it. It arrived yesterday. I normally don't touch post until it's sat for 3 days because of the danger of corona. But because it was in a plastic container, a plastic envelope, I just washed it with soap and warm water under the tap and then opened it up. And once I started reading it, I think I finished about 4 in the morning. And what it was not only teaching me, which is about forgiveness and about her story, was also about how we influence each other's consciousness. Now, my business, Durga Matter of London, is all about raising consciousness, because I believe that we can't make enduring change in any field, including our own lives, unless we go to the heart of the matter, the essence, which is consciousness. And when people say, "Well, what do you mean by that?" I say, well, raising consciousness, I would translate as reduce your stress and increase your happiness. When you're in a high consciousness, there's just joy. There's joy. It's not caused because you got a present or someone was nice to you. If you're in a good consciousness, sweet consciousness, pure consciousness, you feel that kind of inner joy, which I don't know about these things, but I interpret as our own soul is coming forward, and our soul is part of God, who is all joy. So I was reading this book last night, and it was at a harrowing point when my sister phoned, and she needed some information, perfectly understandable and reasonable information, but I reacted in a snappy way. I reacted in an aggressive, almost hostile way, because I was in the Rwandan Holocaust through the words of Immaculee. I was actually in grief and in trauma. And it made me realize 2 things, really. One is that everything we touch, everything we engage with affects our consciousness. The pictures we look at, the books we read, the films we watch, everything is affecting our consciousness. If we have a loving heart, if we have a heart of oneness, and we're helping somebody or we're talking to somebody who is struggling or suffering, it's going to affect our consciousness. It doesn't mean we shouldn't engage with them, or we shouldn't try and help them, or we shouldn't work with them, but we need to be aware of that so that we don't just kind of spin off without thinking and engage with somebody else with a consciousness which is not so good, which is what happened with me and my sister. I have yet to phone her and put things right, and I'm learning about the need to ask for forgiveness as well as give forgiveness. So I think that that is probably more than enough for this morning. But I'll just say, when it comes to consciousness, high consciousness comes from your heart. It's when you're living in your heart, you're feeling the presence of your soul, perhaps, and there is a flow of sweet energy, which is loving, forgiving, compassionate, and kind. And when we're living in a state of lower consciousness, there's pain, suffering, maybe even anger or fear. And we tend to respond in a way which is not so divine and causes division, causes suffering. So this is my message to you today. Reflect on consciousness, and please, if you haven't read it, there's a book I'm recommending, which I would recommend everybody to read, because not only is it about human ignorance, but it's also about divine transcendence and the power of forgiveness. Happy day, everybody. Lots of love. Bye.